What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. If you're new to the channel, please like, please share, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all my subscribers that have already subscribed, and I appreciate you guys viewing this video. In the video, I want to talk about some players that the Atlanta Falcons should consider drafting in this upcoming NFL draft. It's a lot of good prospects out there. I've looked at about 10 to 15 prospects that I think that the Falcons should definitely consider drafting. And I'm going to start with the most likely prospects that we should draft. And then I'm going to go down the list of some other players maybe in the later rounds that we possibly could draft, or after the first and second round of players we may need to draft. But let's go ahead and jump right into the video. You know that we do have the 16th pick in this NFL draft. And I definitely believe that in this draft, we will need to address the trenches on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball, possibly, but definitely on the defensive side of the ball. If I were the GM of this Atlanta Falcons team, I would probably double dip, meaning I would take a defensive lineman in the first round and also a defensive lineman with one of the second round picks, because we have 2 second round picks because we traded Mohamed Sanu to the Patriots this season, which we got the Patriots second round pick this year. So I definitely would consider drafting 2 defensive linemen in the first 2 rounds, and then possibly a linebacker or a defensive back in the second round as well, depending who's there. But with the number 1 pick, we do have the 16th pick in this draft, as I was saying. And the first player that I definitely would look at getting for the Atlanta Falcons or drafting would be Derrick Brown. I know that might be like a pipe dream because he's probably going to be a top 5 to 10 pick. So we probably will have to move up to get Derrick Brown. But if Derrick Brown, for some reason, drops in the draft, because you know in the NFL draft, anything is possible. If it's for any chance that he drops in this draft for any reason, I definitely would strongly suggest the Falcons look at trading up to get Derrick Brown. If he's like a couple of picks ahead, like say the 13th draft pick comes up, the 14th draft picks maybe like 2 or 3 spots ahead of us, and Derrick Brown still hasn't been drafted, I definitely would suggest the Falcons moving up in the draft and trying to get Derrick Brown. I do think that Derrick Brown is a game changer. I do think that he's one of the best defensive linemen in the last 10 seasons or 10 years to come out of the college ranks. He's definitely that build of like a Fletcher Cox, a Calais Campbell, one of those players that's an anchor on your defense. And every team needs that anchor on the defense, especially in the middle of the line. And putting him next to Grady Jarrett would be pay huge dividends, not just for Grady Jarrett, but it would play huge dividends for the guys on the outside, meaning the defensive ends, because then we'll have a player that can take on those double teams, and that will free Grady Jarrett up to be more of a pass rusher, which he already is a pass rusher and likes to penetrate in the backfield. But if we could free Grady Jarrett up for one-on-one matchups, 90% of the time, Grady Jarrett is going to win a one-on-one matchup. And it also would help out Vic Beasley if we decide to bring Vic Beasley back. It will help him get after the quarterback a little bit better. And it'll also help Takk McKinley and whoever else is in the rotation, John Kaminsky and whoever else we bring back in the offseason, Tyler Davison and those guys. It'll definitely help us out, especially in the running game. I feel like Derrick Brown is one of those guys that is a staple, and he'll definitely help this Atlanta Falcons team stop the run. He would greatly improve our pass rush and our run defense. So if we can get Derrick Brown by any chance, I would seriously suggest moving up and trying to get Derrick Brown, because he is a generational type talent. I could definitely see him being with the Atlanta Falcons for a long time if we do decide to draft him. He plays with a high motor. I've watched him pretty much his whole collegiate career because I am an Auburn Tigers fan for college football. So I pretty much watched most of his games this year, and pretty much a lot of his games since he's been at the University of Auburn. And he has always been a staple and a very, very good run stopper and a good player of plugging up holes in the run game and penetrating in the backfield and collapsing the pocket on quarterbacks. So if we can get Derrick Brown by any chance with that 16th pick, I would definitely suggest getting Derrick Brown. So he's the first player that I really took a look at, and I would love to see him on this Atlanta Falcons team. He goes about 6'5", 318 pounds. So he's a very large man, but he moves very good for his size. He's like a dancing bear. He moves very good for his size. Even though he's a bigger player, does have that short area quickness, and he will surprise you by his athleticism, even though he's a very big guy. So if we can get him by any reason, I think he is a generational type talent, and I really think that he could be a huge staple for this defense, him and Grady Jarrett, for years to come if we decide to get him. Now, for any reason, if we can't get Derrick Brown because he's gone, which I do believe he'll be gone, the next player I took a look at is AJ Epenesa. AJ Epenesa is definitely a player that I think out of Iowa, the defensive end, he goes about 6'6", 280 pounds. He's a very solid player, and I think he'll be great at setting the edge in the run game, and he'll be an excellent pass rusher for the Atlanta Falcons. He's very stout. He knows how to use his hands. He used that club chop like Adrian Claiborne for the Atlanta Falcons. He does have pass rush moves. Like I said, he's a complete player. He's just not the athletic build like a Vic Beasley and a Pat McKinley, and he's not on the lighter side. Like Vic Beasley is on the lighter side, goes about 250, 260 at the most as far as his weight. But AJ Epenesa is definitely a great player when it comes to stopping the run, setting the edge, and you don't have to take him off of the field. Basically, he can play all three downs. He's not a player that you have to take off the field like early in Vic Beasley's career and Pat McKinley. If you guys remember early this season, it was times like on first and second down where they were taking Vic Beasley out of the game because he's not good at setting the edge and he's not good in run defense. Him or Pat McKinley are not the best players in run defense. Pat McKinley is a better run stopper than Vic Beasley, and he sets the edge a little bit better. But sometimes Pat McKinley gets a little bit excited, and sometimes he overruns plays or he runs out of his hole and out of his gap integrity. He doesn't keep his gap integrity. So AJ Epenesa, if you go watch his tape, his highlight tape, I've seen some tape on him out of, like I said, the University of Iowa. He does a great job of keeping that gap integrity. He's a very stout guy. He's hard to push out of the out of the pitcher. Like when they're blocking, it's hard to push him out of a hole in the run game. And he is one of those guys where I think he could be another guy that could be a game changer for this Atlanta Falcons defense. And if we bring back Vic Beasley, then we can bolster that rotation of Vic Beasley, Pat McKinley, AJ Epenesa, possibly Adrian Claiborne. If we bring him back on like a one-year deal, John Kaminsky, he'll help all of those guys in rotation. He's a very solid player out of Iowa. So definitely go check out his tape. He's the player that I have really put a microscope on, and I really think that he would be the best pick at 16 for the Atlanta Falcons if Derrick Brown is not there. Now, if for any reason AJ Epenesa for some reason is not there and Derrick Brown is not there, the next player that I would seriously consider is Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, the nose tackle. He's another guy that I think he's a raw talent. He has a lot of raw talent, but if you've seen him play against Georgia this year, and if you watched him play this year, he was a one-man wrecking crew on that South Carolina defense at nose tackle. He's another player that's really big. He goes 6'3", 310 pounds, but he's very athletic. He's more athletic than Derrick Brown, like when you talk about short area quickness, because he's a little bit smaller, but he's a very good player. He's another player that could be a good anchor on the defense. If you place him next to Grady Jarrett, that he could really cause a lot of havoc. And I would be fine with either of these picks. Even if AJ Epenesa is there, I wouldn't be mad if we got Javon Kinlaw instead of AJ Epenesa. I wouldn't be mad. Any of those three guys, Derrick Brown, Epenesa, or Javon Kinlaw, either one of those guys will be fine with me at that first round pick at number 16. I would be good with that. Now, what I don't want to see us do as the Atlanta Falcons, with that 16th pick, I do not want to see us draft anything but the trenches on the defensive side of the ball with that first pick. I don't want to see any wide receivers. I don't want to see any cornerbacks being drafted or safeties being drafted. We have enough of those type of players. I don't want to see none of those picks in the first couple rounds. I definitely don't want to see that in the first round. In the first round, we must take a defensive player in the trenches to help the trenches out, because we're really struggling in the trenches. We really struggled last year in the trenches. In the second half, it was a little bit better, but we still were not good at stopping the run. And if you watch the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship games, the NFL is won in the trenches. The 49ers ran the ball all day long on the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers couldn't stop it. They had the Smith twins, or the Smith boys, Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith on the outside that can bring pass rush, but they were weak inside. They couldn't stop the run. So those guys are good pass rushers, but they were not good at setting the edge, and they weren't good, and they weren't able to stop the run. So you definitely need those interior players in the NFL nowadays. You definitely have to have the guys in the trenches, especially those nose tackles, because you can have great edge players, meaning edge rushers, but if you have a team that's running the ball right at you, where they're not even running the ball on the outside like tosses, if they just running like draw plays and they're running power plays right up the middle, it's hard to stop that if you don't have the proper size, and if you're not strong enough on the inside to stop teams from running the ball right at you. And I feel like that's the Falcons' biggest weakness, is teams that like to run the ball directly at us. We struggle with stopping the run. We really struggle against stopping the run, especially when teams decide that they're going to run the ball directly at us and not try to run around us, because our defense is predicated right now on athleticism and speed. That's mainly what our defense is predicated on. So Deion Jones and Devondre Campbell like to run sideline to sideline. Ricardo Allen, those guys are smaller guys, but they like to run sideline to sideline. But the way that teams prevent Deion Jones and keep those guys at bay, Rico Allen is running the ball right up the gut, right at you, up the center of your defense. And if you don't have the big guys, the strong guys in the middle that can hold up, then you're going to really, really, really struggle. So we definitely have to get those big guys in the middle to be strong, be physical, and be able to stop teams from running the ball directly at us. Now, with that being said, I was talking about Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. I think I talked about how tall he is. He's 6'3", goes about 310 pounds. A very solid guy in the run game, and he's another guy that can penetrate and put pressure on the quarterback like a Grady Jarrett. He's just a lot bigger and a little bit more stouter than Grady Jarrett. So if we can pair somebody next to Grady Jarrett, I feel like that'll be huge. And to be honest, if it was up to me, I prefer a Derrick Brown or a Kinlaw over AJ Epenesa. I do like Epenesa, but I prefer someone being right next to Grady, because those guys could really collapse the pocket and give pocket passers and quarterbacks a hard time. No quarterback likes the pressure to come right up the middle. If you have a good edge rusher, you can kind of get around a good edge rusher if you have a quarterback that can move a little bit, that can step up in the pocket, and that can avoid the defensive ends. But if you have two good nose tackles, it's very hard to escape two nose tackles, because a lot of the times what happens is those nose tackles put so much pressure in the middle that if the quarterback does roll out, you run them right into your edge rushers. So sometimes having good nose tackles increase the defensive ends sack numbers, because they're trying to escape. You got Vic Beasley and Takk McKinley flying off the edges. And at that point, if it's nowhere to step up in the middle, it's basically nowhere for the quarterback to escape to. And that was pretty much the biggest problem with the Atlanta Falcons this year, is a lot of the quarterbacks that we played, they just stepped up in the middle. So if Vic Beasley and Takk McKinley came on the rush, most of the time they got washed out, or they ran past the play because they were pushed out by the offensive tackles to the outside, and the quarterback was able to step up in the middle of the pocket because there was no pressure coming from the middle, and they were able to step right in that comfort zone and make the pass down the field. So having those two guys, the pressure coming from the inside is the worst type of pressure the quarterback likes to feel, because there's no pocket if he can't step up in the middle, and that will make them have to escape out and try to throw the ball on the run. Where if they're able to step right in the middle of the pocket when you have the good edge rushers, it makes it a lot easier for those guys, especially if it's a mobile quarterback. They don't mind rolling out to the side to make a pass. But if you have those guys coming from the middle and they're penetrating and causing havoc, that affects the run game, and that really affects the quarterback. And no quarterback likes that pressure coming directly from the A-gaps right in their face. So Javon Kinlaw would definitely be another guy, like I was saying, that I would definitely look into. Now, in the later drafts, like in the second round, maybe, I would look at a couple guys. I wouldn't mind a cornerback in the second round. And the guy I was looking at is Jeffrey Okudah out of the University of Ohio State, the Ohio State University. He goes to 6'1", 200 pounds. He's very long, lanky, puts you in the mind of like a Richard Sherman, an Isaiah Oliver type, because Isaiah Oliver is also long and kind of rangy. And if you know, Dan Quinn does like the long and rangy cornerbacks. So I did get to watch Jeffrey Okudah in the championship game, or I guess it was the game before the championship, where they lost, when Ohio State lost to Clemson. And Jeffrey Okudah did play a pretty good game. He was all over the field, deflecting passes, making tackles. He's a very physical corner, long. Like I said, he can definitely play press coverage. And I do prefer, if we're going to take a corner, Jeffrey Okudah, I think, is a real deal. I do think that he'll be the player that we should be targeting if we are going to go after a cornerback or a DB in like the second or third round. But I do think Jeffrey Okudah may be gone at that point, because he's probably a first round pick. But if for any reason he's there in the second round, if we can draft him, I definitely would be interested in drafting Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State. He's one of those players that I think could be a very good player for many, many years to come. Another player that I was really interested in, if we decide to go linebacker, is Isaiah Simmons out of the University of Clemson. Now, he's a very versatile player, and that's what I like about Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker out of Clemson. He did play safety early in his career there at Clemson, and then they changed his position to linebacker. But he's very versatile. You can use him in a lot of different ways. You can use him as a safety. You can use him as an outside linebacker or inside linebacker. But if we, for any reason, lose Devondre Campbell, if we lose Dre for any reason, I definitely would seriously think about Isaiah Simmons taking that role next to Deion Jones. He's a very fast guy. He's very good at tackling, and he's also very good in coverage. And that's why I think he may be a little bit better than Devondre Campbell is. He's a better guy in coverage. And we all know that Devondre Campbell struggles in coverage. So Isaiah Simmons and Deion Jones, they could possibly be the best covering linebacking duo in the league if we decide to take Isaiah Simmons either with that first pick at 16 or even in the second round. I wouldn't mind taking Isaiah Simmons. He's one of those guys. That's another guy that's a dog, very good, very athletic, fits the mold of what Dan Quinn likes to do with the fast and physical mantra of our Atlanta Falcons. So I definitely wouldn't mind seeing Isaiah Simmons. I don't know if I told you guys how tall he is and how much he weighs. He goes about 6'4", 230 pounds. So he will have to gain a little bit of weight. He is on the lighter side, like a Deion Jones. So that's the only downfall that I can see with him, is maybe being a little too small or being light. But if you know anything, that's the current NFL now, is playing the lighter, pretty much is the better for most of these coaches. So with the schemes that they're running nowadays. So I definitely think Isaiah Simmons is another player that we should seriously take a look at and definitely consider bringing to the Atlanta Falcons or drafting. Now, the last player I want to talk about is two different players, and this is the running backs. I would look at taking a running back either with the second round pick we have, or later on in the draft if we decide to draft a running back. Now, I think that Devontae Freeman is coming back, which I felt like was the right decision. So if we bring back Devontae Freeman, we don't necessarily need a running back. But if we want to bring in a younger running back, because we don't know what's going on with Ito Smith and the injuries that he's had in the past, and you know that Brian Hill is a free agent, I wouldn't mind re-signing Brian Hill and bringing him back to the team, but if for any reason we don't sign Brian Hill back and we decide to maybe trade or cut Ito Smith, I definitely would look at bringing in a running back. The first running back that I was really interested in was Travis Etienne out of Clemson, but he decided to go back to school for his senior year of college, which is big ups to him that he wanted to finish his education, get his degree. That's definitely always a good thing when someone wants to get their degree and have a fallback plan. I definitely understand that, so I wouldn't knock the guy for that. But I definitely would take a look at the DeAndre Swift out of Georgia, 5'9" and weighs about 216 pounds. And I also would look at, and this is one that's a sleeper or a dark horse that nobody's talking about, I would take Zach Moss out of the University of Utah. He goes 5'10", 222. He puts me in the mind of like a Nick Chubb that played at Georgia, but he's a little bit, I don't know if he's faster, but he definitely looks a little bit faster on tape than Nick Chubb, even though Nick Chubb is very fast as well. So I definitely would take a look at if we're going to take a running back. Since ETN didn't come out, I would look at Zach Moss first out of Utah because he showed me some stuff on his tape. And if you go watch his tape, the dude is just sick. He's a freak. I definitely would look at bringing in him as the running back, Zach Moss from Utah. And then if we decide not to get him, the other running back that I would definitely take a look at would be DeAndre Swift. I would seriously take a look at DeAndre Swift. He's another dude that's quick, very cerebral, and is a good player. So I definitely would take a look at Swift out of Georgia. Swift has definitely been a great player since he played at the University of Georgia for the Bulldogs. And I know he wouldn't have it any other way where he wouldn't even have to leave the state or leave the city pretty much. He'll be right there. He go right from being at Georgia University right over to the Atlanta Falcons, right into the professionals, right there in Atlanta. So for any reason, if we decide to take a running back, those will be the guys that I would take a look at. Now I'm going to give you the list again really quick. So if you didn't get a chance to hear all of the guys that I would suggest you take a look at, it started with Derrick Brown, the nose tackle out of Auburn, or the defensive tackle or nose tackle. AJ Epenesa out of Iowa. Another player was Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson, the linebacker. I definitely think we should take a look at him. DeAndre Swift, I definitely would take a look at him. And Javon Kinlaw. Those were the guys that I would definitely take a look at, and I would seriously suggest that the Falcons will take a look at and possibly, bring those guys in. Definitely bring those guys in, talk to them. I believe they're at the Senior Bowl right now. So definitely, it's some great guys out here. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this video. Please like, please share, please subscribe. I'm going to come to you guys with more and more content of our Atlanta Falcons. It's a new year, so now it's time to reach new goals. Like I said, if you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. Tell a friend, a family member about the channel. If you just know any Atlanta Falcons fan or another Atlanta Falcons fan, share this out to your Facebook groups, your Twitters, whatever. Share it out. I would definitely appreciate it. If you would like to donate to the channel, you always can go to the Cash App. It'll be the $ Jew Talk Sports. But I appreciate everybody's support. You can follow your boy on Twitter. That'll be at Jew Talk Sports. But like I said, this been your boy Jew. Y'all leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know if you like these videos that I'm doing. I'm trying to shorten the videos up for you guys. This one went about 25 minutes though, so it didn't necessarily go as planned. But I'm going to have more and more videos for y'all. I'm going to try to do as many videos as I can. At least probably like one a day or one every other day. Let you know about any Falcons news that's going on. But I definitely wanted to get this out because this is well past due with some of the players that I'm looking at. So definitely go and check it out. Tell me what you guys think about some of the players that I mentioned. But I appreciate you guys. This me, your boy Jew. I'm signing out. Peace.